Okay, so again, just try to enjoy this beautiful opportunity of just being peaceful, finding that refuge on the spiritual path. It is so easy at this point in a retreat to look to the future, what's going to happen next. But all those things that are there in the future, they are far less interesting than you think they are. There's nothing really there. What is interesting in life happens in the spiritual practice. That is where the future is created. The future is not created by thinking about it, but by practicing the spiritual path. So stay right here. Don't fall for the delusion of thinking about the future. There's nothing really there. Enjoy the present. It's in the present that things really happen. So stay here and carry on feeling that actually quite wonderful and beautiful atmosphere that you find being together with other good people practicing something that is truly worthwhile. And again, if you wish, try to bring to mind the feeling of these beautiful spiritual qualities we're trying to develop. What does it mean to be generous? What does it mean to be kind? What does it mean to be compassionate? Try to see if you can feel these qualities within yourself. Tune in to the meaning of these things. And then remind yourself that there are lots of beings in this world, people and other kinds of beings who have these qualities, sometimes to a very high degree. What a wonderful thing it is to be able to share this world with such beings. And so now just imagine all those beings in the northern direction, wherever that might be, and wish all those beings well. May you be well, may you be happy. And now, if you like, bring your mind around to the eastern direction. And again, remind yourself of all these marvelous beings with good qualities. And then all the other beings, those who may not have such good qualities, what they have, they often have suffering instead. Either they have good qualities or they have suffering. And either way, they deserve our compassion and kindness. May all those beings in the eastern direction, may you be well, may you be happy. And now, if you like, bring your mind around to the southern direction, and you can now focus on all the animals in the world. Animals who experience far more suffering usually than human beings. Usually it is not of their fault whatsoever. They're just victims of the difficulties in the world. So may all those animals to the south, may you all be well. May you be as happy as you can. And now bring the mind around to the western direction. And if you like, you can consider all the devatas in the western direction. These beautiful, luminous beings who are full of good qualities. What a remarkable thing it is to share the world with such beings. If you find the devas difficult to imagine, focus on the human beings instead. So all those devas, all those humans in the western direction, may you be well, may you be happy. And now, if you wish, you can imagine the entire earth in your mind's eye. Beautiful earth of blue and green and brown and white. and bathing in a beautiful glow, the glow of your kindness generated towards all the beings on this planet, and all the beings who are there. Either they have good qualities and you wish them happiness because of that, or they are suffering and still you wish them happiness and freedom from suffering. That is all there ever is, either compassion or metta. May all those beings, may you all be well, may you all be happy. And now bring your attention back into this room to everyone who is assembled here today, and let everyone know, thank you for sharing this retreat with me. Thank you for being such a marvelous spiritual friend. I wish every one of you happiness and well-being. And now just come back to your breath. Come back to your breath for a few moments. And once again, how do you feel now? And if there is an improvement in your mental state, again, ask yourself why that is and how does it come about. It's all about understanding the process of meditation and also understanding where real happiness is to be found. Okay, Sandhu?
Underneath that.
Somewhere are the other ones. Okay. Ah, is that it?
These other ones.
These other ones. Okay. Excellent. Okay, Sadhu. Great. Very good. Okay, yeah, everyone. So let us do some more Q&A. So for this evening, what I thought we would do is, first of all, finish off the ones from yesterday, and then we get into the other ones. And when we get into the other ones, then we can ask everyone for input. Anyone who wants to give input is welcome. Anyone who does not want to give input is also welcome to not give input. So that's okay. We don't want to force anyone to speak. Leha, do we? Already on the ball. Wow. Okay. Excellent. Very reliable, Leha. That's amazing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can you read my mind, Leha? Do you know what's going on beforehand?
Yes, I can.
You can? Okay. Wow, very impressive. I think my mind is very easy to read. I think that's the... Okay. So let's get started. So this is just finishing off yesterday's, and then once we get to the other ones, I will ask for input from everyone. So dear Ajahn, my understanding is that even a Sotapanna has some anger and ill will in them, and it'll only be fully overcome when you become an Arahant, actually Anagami. Anagami. Yeah, so when you become a non-returner, that's when you overcome these things fully. I agree that we should let go of ill will fully. However, I have seen some people rushing into forgiving and letting go of anger and looking at good qualities of the other person, but they still seem to be affected by the perpetrator. So it looks like a spiritual bypassing to me. Yes, so you have to be careful. You have to do it sincerely. You have to do it in the right way at the right time. Not try to do it too fast, not do what is impossible to do. Forgiveness often takes time, depending a bit on the degree of, abuse or whatever you have been through. It can take a while. So don't rush it. Do it sincerely. Don't suppress ill will. Suppressing ill will is usually a bad idea. You want to overcome it in a real way, so you actually don't have it anymore. That is the whole point. So be very careful when you do these things. Do it in a wise way. And if you need some support or you need some kind of ideas or someone to help you with that, then there will always be people available to kind of show you the right way of doing these things. It is not a matter of suppression. It's a matter of real forgiveness, whereby you understand where the other person is coming from. You have compassion and you have forgiveness, and then you can let go in the right way. So thank you for that. These are important little adjustments to understand properly what's going on. So that's great. Dear Ajahn, can one dedicate their practice for the people who are still living, like the parents, teachers, family, etc., for their well-being and happiness? It depends what we mean by this. So one thing is to dedicate merit, and I don't think they can receive merit in the way that a peta can. Yeah, a departed person, they can receive merit in a very direct way, in an immediate way. So we can't really dedicate merits in that way, but we can obviously help them immediately. Yeah, so the peta we kind of help directly by dedicating merit, but people who are here, we help them directly. Yeah, we give them peanuts at lunch, for example. I got special peanuts at lunch. I was very lucky. Peanuts kind of arrived to me afterward. That was very nice. So we get all kind of things, yeah. And so we should really do that. That is kind of how we help the living, not by dedicating merit. That's kind of a secondary thing we do with those beings we can't reach directly. However, it obviously, it has an effect by the very fact that you are a meditator and you practice in the spiritual life. You will affect a lot of people. And I think it's very wise to, when we do our meditation, to actually see it as an act of generosity. We are supporting being generous to the whole world by simply practicing meditation. Yeah, why? Because we become better people. And so we're doing this for the purpose of the whole world. Then it becomes really beautiful and powerful. So that is what I would recommend, rather than dedicating merit for the living people. Okay. Ajahn Brahmali, thank you for your wonderful teachings. Can you please expand a little on the 9 qualities of the Buddha in the Iti Piso verse with much merit? And that is quite an involved thing. Sometimes I take that whole verse and I give a full Dhamma talk, just 1 hour on that particular verse, because that's kind of how beautiful it is. And that I'm sure has been recorded from previous retreats. And so I would recommend you to listen to them, because I don't think I can really do that justice now to go through that. So I would recommend you to listen to one of the past retreats, and you will find it there in kind of in full. And that is, I think, a better way of doing that, rather than trying to give justice to that in 3 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever. It's not gonna work properly. So I hope you will forgive me for doing that. I feel a bit bad about kind of just not really responding properly, but hopefully you can find it. If not, we will help you to find, someone here will help you, I'm not sure who it will be, will help you to find the right place for that. Dear Ajahn, in working days I want to take 8 precepts, but the problem is people work with me asking, where is your earrings and chains, earring chains, etc. So I start to wear plastic ones. Is it breaking the precepts, even though I don't want to beautify myself? Thank you, Ajahn. So, I think what to say. I think that, first of all, the most important thing is not to be too concerned with what other people think. We are so concerned about other people's ideas, and they say, where are your earrings or whatever. It's kind of, don't worry about it. I would just forget about it. They say, oh yeah, no, sometimes I don't want to use earrings these days. That's kind of what I've decided. Tomorrow I may wear earrings. Some other day I might, but not today. And then let's see what happens. You don't have to do things for other people's sake, I mean, on the other hand, if you kind of use some plastic earrings because you don't want to use proper jewelry, okay, that's also fine. Basically whatever. It doesn't matter so much. But that's amazing that you can keep the 8 precepts in daily life. Be careful not to overstretch yourself. The Buddha said to keep the 8 precepts on the Uposatha days. And if you try too hard to keep these things when it is not suitable, and I'm thinking especially of not eating in the afternoon, that can be quite tricky if you are working and you're kind of expending a lot of energy. So don't take it too far. If you take it too far, it can become counterproductive. So be really wise about these things. Be smart, and then you will succeed in a good way. So so what you're thinking here is probably a good idea. Find a compromise, and then you'll find a good way forward. Dear Ajahn, do the sutta say anything about carers of people with disabilities? There is a sutta somewhere about the 5 qualities of a good nurse. Yeah, so that's kind of nice, isn't it? 5 qualities of a good nurse. What are the 5 qualities of a good nurse? I can't remember, I think, off the top of my head exactly what they are. But it is, some of it is that you're not kind of disgusted by having to clean up, feces and urine and vomit and these kind of things. You are. What else are the qualities? That was one of them. That's kind of an obvious one to be a nurse. Sorry. That's right. You gladden them with the Dhamma at the right time. That's a really nice one. Yeah, thank you for that, Venerable. So so there you are. So that's good. So and yeah, there are a few things like that, but I can't remember. You gladden them with the Dhamma at the right time. That's actually a really nice one. Forgotten about that one. You do your duties with loving kindness, I think, is one of them. You're not with a kind of mind of ill will. You have a good attitude to what you're doing. So something like that. So the main idea is always, if you're going to be a carer, do it with as much metta and compassion as you can. So if you have a job of being a carer for someone who is disabled, it's a great opportunity to practice metta and compassion and caring in a beautiful way. You can make a lot of good merit that way, and that will be very supportive of your practice if you do it with the right kind of attitude. Okay. Do you have any Dhamma talk specifically on Buddhanussati? Yes, that was exactly the previous question that was about the Itipiso formula. That is the Dhamma talk on Buddhanussati. So it's about a 1-hour Dhamma talk. I have done that many times here over the years, usually during the retreats. So we should be able to find a version of that. Let's see if we can help you out with that. Is there a particular kind of faith-based practice I can take up to generate more devotion practiced in Theravada? I know that the Tibetans, they prostrate. We also prostrate, this is what we do here when we bow to the Buddha. That's prostration, So we do exactly the same thing, and I think bowing is a very beautiful thing to do. So bow, at home you can have a Buddha statue, and you can bow to the Buddha statue because have a beautiful one. Have a Buddha statue that represents the qualities of the Buddha. This is, to my mind, the ideal Buddha statue. We can see the peace, you can see the compassion, wisdom. I'm not sure if you can put wisdom into a statue, but something like that, and you feel inspired to bow down. So it's not really bowing down to the metal, it's bowing down to spiritual qualities. And that is a beautiful thing to do. Another devotional practice you can do is to do some chanting. You can listen to the chanting, and you can also do the chanting yourself. You can do it in Pali, or you can do the Metta Sutta like we do here in English. These are also quite a beautiful devotional thing. And some people love that, and they get a lot of joy out of that. And so those seem to be the 2 main things that we do in Buddhism. Sometimes we circumambulate stupas, but that's you can build a stupa in your garden. Build a stupa in your garden. You can circumambulate every day 3 times. Okay, maybe not. I'm not sure. So we have stupas here. We can these stupas. You've seen the stupas we have here, presumably. The stupa. You know what the stupa is? Stupa are these 2 kind of in between these 2 buildings. As you walk on the path on both sides, that's called the stupa. In case you don't know, and those are from Indonesia. They're Indonesian stupas. So they are replicas of what you find in Borobudur. Borobudur is maybe the most impressive Buddhist monument in the world. It's a really amazing Buddhist monument. And on Borobudur, on that enormous stupa, you have small stupas such as these ones. They're sitting on top, many of them, and they look exactly like this. They're openings, and then the Buddha statue sits inside. And the Buddha statue inside is actually quite beautiful. If you haven't had a look, go and have a peek inside and check out the Buddha statue inside. It's quite has a nice smile to it. So this comes from Indonesia. It was shipped over from Indonesia in a large container. Given by the I think the Pasego Foundation or something. I can't remember now who. I think it's Bante Pantavaro gave it. Right. Okay, Pantavaro. He's one of the right. So he is one of the most senior monks in Indonesia, and he kind of gave these things to Jhana Grove as a thing. And then those lions, when we come in, you see those lions at the top? They are guardian lions. And so when you come in here, they kind of guard the premises, right? So they kind of have one paw up and say, stay out. Evil spirits, stay out. Good people, come in. The only problem is that we put them the wrong way around. We were told afterwards that actually the lion on the left should be on the right and the lion on the right should be on the left, because the paw holding them out is supposed to be on one side and not on the other side. So I think we're letting the evil spirits in. Wow. I think the evil spirits don't dare to come here anyway. They're kind of there's too many good people here, so they stay out anyway. So we're still safe. So that's what happened with those things. So do some of these, bit of chanting, bowing is nice, and we don't do too many devotional practices, but if you do that, that's already very beautiful if you do it at the right time in the right way. Okay, you mentioned twice, reflect on your meditation. What's changed? What disappeared? How did that happen? What is the purpose of this? Is this insight? Can be insight, but doesn't have to. Depends on what happens when you reflect. If nothing happens, it's not insight. So, so the idea here is to understand the process, right? Okay, so you are successful in meditation. You become peaceful. What have you done? And what you have done is you have let go. That's why you become peaceful. So how did that letting go happen? Sometimes you don't become peaceful. So why don't you become peaceful sometimes? Because you didn't let go. So what is the difference between the two? That's how you understand what letting go is. And what you start to realize is that letting go is actually just the most ordinary, boring thing. It just means you chillax. That's what letting go means. At other times you try too hard, and so you can't find any peace. Letting go is this incredibly ordinary, simple thing, just being with rather than focusing on, something like that. And you start to learn that in your own practice, how the meditation actually works. And then you also realize that there are changes in perception. Maybe you nudge the mind a little bit towards something positive. You build up a positive perception inside of yourself. You do the metta meditation. When does the metta meditation work? When does it give rise to a kind of a positive feeling? What is it? What is the mechanism there? What is it that actually works and doesn't work? And then you start to realize how you can give rise to positive feelings by seeing how that works in practice. Then there is the idea of understanding the difference between happiness and suffering. This is really important. So if you have a good meditation, you feel happy afterwards. Why do you feel happy? And the reason you feel happy is because you have left certain things behind. You have abandoned certain things. The thinking mind is gone. The body has disappeared. Certain painful feelings are gone. Wow, this is really nice. So you start to understand the distinction between happiness and suffering by comparing before and after. And you start to realize that the more things you abandon, the more suffering has gone. It's disappeared. You understand the joy of meditation because happy feelings arise, and then of course the painful feelings aren't there. So this way you understand the difference between happiness and suffering. You start to understand impermanence because things fade away. Things are gone sometimes, completely gone. And this is the impermanence of things, the things coming and going, not being stable, being movable all the time. And when something disappears in a profound way, in a really profound way, then you can have a profound insight into the impermanence of things, also non-self. So this is what this is about, It's about understanding the process and also using it as a foundation for insight, understanding the three characteristics, dukkha, anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanent, suffering, and non-self. Okay, anyway, that's a good question because we need to deal with these things to understand them properly, so that's great. Dear Ajahn, if it is only the beings in the Preta realm who can receive merits. Why do we share merits with the Devatas? Akasata, Bhumata, Devanaga, Mahiddika. This is a kind of a standard chant that is done. So it seems like we share merits with the Devas to make them happy and then ask them to protect us in return. Do you think this happened in the Buddha's time or a later addition through cultural influence? This particular chant that is often done, or the recitation that is often done in Buddhist countries, is not in the suttas. So I don't know where it comes from. It's probably some kind of cultural influence. Many thanks for your teachings. Also, I have noticed that people put their hands down when they chant the above formulas, not keeping Anjali position. All right, maybe that's what they do. I don't know. I don't usually chant this chant. It is certainly something that is often done in Sri Lanka. So I don't know why people do that. I think it's probably a bit random. There's no kind of prescribed way of doing this. So we can do pretty much as you see fit, really. Okay, so anyway, that's my understanding. You can only share merit with the Pretas. Dear Ajahn, perhaps this is the proper time for me to patiently wait for your wise reply. I see. Okay, let's see. Sometimes during meditation, the mind becomes bright and I see light, though not in any distinct form. I usually just assume it is just a physical light, like sunlight or light coming through the door, and try not to become too mystical about it. It is difficult for me to distinguish between mental light and physical light, but perhaps there is no need to pay too much attention to it. I have also seen someone wear eye mask when sitting, though I'm not sure if they are avoiding visual distractions or secretly trying to sleep more comfortably. That's very smart, isn't it? Yeah. So what matters, whether it is, sometimes it's very hard to distinguish between physical light and mental light, because these lights are, ultimately they are perceived by the mind. The mind takes these things as their object. So the difference is actually very often not really, can be very hard to see, except that the brightness can become far greater when it's in the mind, much brighter than in any ordinary physical light. So what you have to do is not to be too concerned about it. Just carry on as long as your mind becomes bright and you feel good, you feel mindful, you feel aware, you feel that there is maybe some joy and happiness there. If all of those things are coming, then it is great. You're doing it in the right way. Don't worry too much about what that other light is. The really powerful nimittas usually come with a form. They're often called a rupa. They usually come with a particular appearance, like a circle or something like that, usually. So I would say, well, good, excellent, carry on. Don't be too concerned about that distinction. Dear Ajahn Brahmali, if we only have 15 minutes per day to meditate in our human world, what kind of type of meditation would you recommend? Or 15 minutes is not enough? What is your recommendation? 15 to 20 minutes, is maybe kind of the minimum one should try to do. We should do enough to gain a little bit of result. That's basically the idea. And that may vary a little bit from person to person. You should feel some benefit, otherwise there's no point in doing it. So whatever it takes to kind of calm you down a little bit, to experience a little bit of metta, experience some positive qualities, that is what you should be doing. Don't try too hard in daily life. If you try too long, then often it becomes just a hassle, it becomes another chore. Oh no, I have to sit in meditation for a full hour. Oh no, dukkha. Then it's kind of pointless. So if you do that, it's terrible. So do what works for you. Do what is reasonable. And then, secondly, do also what has some kind of effect on you. So sometimes you can do a bit of mindfulness of breathing, but remember that mindfulness of breathing, it takes time before you start watching the breath. It Give yourself a lot of time just to calm down, just to relax, yeah, just to enjoy being present, just to be aware of kind of what's happening in your mind, yeah, and allowing things to calm down. If you get to the breath, great. If you don't even get there, that's also fine. So just sit back and wait, enjoy the peace. Play the guided meditation of someone's voice that you enjoy, someone who really makes you feel peaceful. Play it not for the instruction, but for the mood. The mood can be hard to get into in daily life. Or play some chanting if that is helpful to get you started in meditation. Getting into the right mood is often kind of the hardest thing in daily life for many people. And then you do the meditation. Or you can do metta meditation. Sometimes that is easier because you can follow a certain formula, and the formulas that a very simple formula is the metta meditation we did a few days ago, where you just say, may all beings be happy. Yeah, and you keep on saying that, maybe with a little bit of a gap in between, just to kind of give the feeling a chance to arise within you. That's one way of doing it. Or you can do it something more imaginative, like I did tonight, yeah, with the kind of different directions and things, and just to give rise to the metta. One of the reasons why I kind of do different things is to kind of give you a feeling for where it is easiest for you to give rise to metta. We often have, it's different for different people. Yeah? For some people cannot relate to the devatas at all. But to my mind, the devatas are these beautiful beings. And having metta for the devatas makes a lot of sense. Or whatever else works. There's some people like animals because the suffering of animals is kind of obvious. You have a sense of soft, gentle, compassionate mind towards animals. The exact distinction between metta and karuna is a very blurry one, and very often we can combine it into kind of one thing, basically. Yeah. So something like that, yeah, and then find out what works for you. Have a good space, a space where you can meditate every day, and then see what comes of that. Okay, dear Ajahn, thank you for answering my previous questions regarding sexual abuse. I have another. Is doing metta meditation for them particularly good karma? Be careful with metta meditation for someone who has abused you, because you may end up suppressing emotions. Instead, do general metta meditation. Do metta meditation to the whole world. And if you do it to the whole world, then they will somehow be included. So that is a better way of doing it. Or do metta meditation to kind of specific beings like we did before, and finally they become included in that. But don't do it specifically to them, because it may be too hard to deal with. Is abuse caused by bad karma? Not necessarily. Can it be caused by bad karma? Maybe it can. But usually it is very often it's just the human condition. Sometimes you just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and things happen. It can happen to pretty much anyone, except if you have really, really good karma, then you might be protected from it. But I would say it's not the result of bad karma, it's a result of being born as a human being, usually. Did they generate bad karma? Of course. If you abuse someone else, then obviously you're generating a lot of bad karma, I would say, usually. If I do not completely heal from this suffering and generate Brahma Viharas towards them, is it likely I will meet them again in a future life? We take rebirth with people we are attached to. If you practice the path in a very deep way, then you will loosen all kinds of attachments. So the general practice of the Noble Eightfold Path will reduce the attachments, and you will produce a lot of good karma, and chances you will meet them again are massively reduced. So eventually you will let go of them, because you will lose attachment to them entirely. 5, is there anything I can do to help them now? It depends on what the circumstances are, what you can do to help them. But I guess the one way to help them is to maybe to have some kind of reconciliation or something like that at some point. I don't know if you're up to that or if that is kind of asking for too much. But if you're able to have some kind of reconciliation and letting go of the past and whatever, talk it through, maybe have a mediator or a counselor present to make it easier or whatever. I don't know, maybe something that is possible. Because it is very helpful for them also to be able to let go of the past if they can talk about it. Quite likely they will feel bad about it, yeah? And if they don't feel bad about it, they have a very big problem. But if they feel bad about it, then it can be, you can help them by talking through it and kind of dealing with it in that way. Maybe, if they're open to it. Often it can be quite difficult. Relevant details. We have no contact, nor will we probably in the future. Okay, so if you won't have any contact with them, then it can be hard. I guess you can maybe send them a letter and tell them that they are in denial and think I'm crazy. Well, in that case, it is going to be very hard. Yeah, if that is the case, it's very difficult to deal with it. So then you are better off letting it be and having compassion from a distance. I don't think about them, but still have dreams about them sometimes. And so keep on practicing metta as a general object, and then eventually those dreams will stop. Thank you and much metta. Okay, so good luck with these traumas, and I hope you can heal as much as possible. So those are the questions left over from yesterday. So now we come to today's question, and there is quite a lot here. So I hope, Venerables, you're ready for a long night. I hope we'll see what happens. So I'm going to read them out, and anyone who wants to reply, even if it says Dear Ajahn Brahmali, everyone here is welcome to reply. Yeah. So this one typically begins with Dear Ajahn Brahmali. So okay. Yesterday's talk on the first noble truth, you reminded us to heed the messengers of a wrinkle or gray hair, but you may have missed those among us who are all wrinkled, totally gray-headed, and with cranky limbs and parts, obviously a little late to prepare for old age. How then should we practice while falling apart, living with illnesses, and maybe even a failing mind? Wow. Okay, does anyone like to answer that question? Any wise words on this one? What to do when it's already too late? Maybe it's not too late. Yeah, it's never too late. I think that's kind of the point. Okay, because it's my fault that this question was, I'll answer it. I kind of feel a bit guilty here because so the answer is you're always going to get older, yeah? So you are already already kind of getting there, but you're going to get even worse. And that means that now is the time, now is the time to do it. Now is the time to practice, The Deva messengers are literally shouting at you at this point. They're screaming, look at all those gray hairs. So take that on board, Sometimes it's amazing, we can delude ourselves, massively. Even as we're getting older and older and older, we are in denial about reality. So still, I'm sure you can still wisen up a lot and get that sense of urgency by reflecting on it in the right way, You may be old, but I have got bad news, you're going to get older still. So think of it in that way. That's what I recommend. Okay, so next question. Dear Ajahn, this doesn't have a name, so that means any Ajahn. Ajahn just means teacher, right? So we have 6 different teachers, so that's good news. So let's see what happens. Sadhu times 3 for explaining the Mahamangala Sutta, expanding it 10,000-fold to provide a microscopic view of each highest blessing. I wonder if it is asking too much to do the same for the Ratana Sutta as well in times in the future, with deepest gratitude. We shall see, as they say, and uncertain what will happen in the future, but I'll put it to one side so as to remind myself. So the Mahamangala Sutta was a request, so sometimes we follow requests, but sometimes we don't, so we'll see what happens then. Thank you, Ajahn, and everyone at Jhana Grove for an awesome retreat. For anyone who wants a good death meditation, there is one on YouTube by Bhikkhu Annalayo. Okay, confronting and a bit scary, but worth going through. Okay, so so there you are. Venerable Annalayo is another good friend of mine, and he is another good meditation practitioner. So so check that out if you wish. Dear Ajahn Achala. This is what it says here. I'm not joking. Can I read it out for you? Yeah, I'll read it out for you. So, you too have a very kind smile when meditating. I aspire to this level of contentment. Do you have any words of wisdom on maintaining this joy? Thank you very much.
Hello? Okay. Sorry. I feel like whatever good qualities that you see in us, it's largely because of the lifestyle that we live. So maybe you can come and stay at Dhammasara and keep the good vibes going. Yeah. That's a short answer.
Okay, that's good. So, so staying at the monastery makes you have a nice smile. Okay, that's great. So, all right, thank you, Venerable. So, it's actually nice to have short answer because there's so many questions. That's good. So well done. Yeah. Okay, so Most Venerable Ajahn Brahmali again. So I just wanted to express my sincere gratitude for your decision to become a monk in this life. Look how many are benefiting from your practice. I'm so full of gratitude at the opportunity to be here with such well-practiced and kind and gentle monastics. It is the greatest good fortune indeed. Sadhu. Okay, great. So I'm very happy to hear that. That's marvelous. So we shall move on. Dear Ajahn, thank you for rescuing my samsara from both you and Ajahn Brahm. Rescuing you from samsara. How scary if I fell into wrong something, cage or... Okay, anyway. All thanks to you too. Now I'm happy little meditator among billions of worldly people. Can't believe how it happened. I'm so delighted and feel blessed. No words enough to express my gratitude. Please, all the devas may protect both of you until extinguishment within the end of this life. May both of you always be happy and healthy with his merits. Okay, that is wonderful. So maybe this is going to be easier than I thought to read through all of these things. It's very nice, isn't it? Maybe someone else should read all these messages. I don't know. No, it's wonderful to read these, actually. Dear Ajahn Brahmali, thank you so much for your insightful teachings. Also, big thank you to Lehar, to Nolia, to Pat, to Mia, to Christina and Anusha for all their help in making this wonderful retreat with metta, metta, metta. Okay. Marvelous. So, all right. Dear Ajahn, do you have any recommendations on sharing the Dharma to my parents and wife? My parents have their own views and prefer to enjoy life at this age, while my wife is a devout Christian. Putting Ajahn Brahm's books around does not seem to work. Many thanks. That is the old trick. Yeah, leave the book out and say, "Don't touch this." That's kind of the old trick. Yeah. So, Venerables, any profound insight into this? How do you share the Dharma with your parents and one's wife? One is a Christian, and the other ones have their own views. So, okay. Any wise instructions in this case?
Well, I'm not sure about wise. I'm a bit unwell at the moment, so if I make no sense, please just blame it on my unwellness. But I think the best way to do this, I also know my father, he's very sort of anti-religion, but he says the Buddhists are okay, they don't cause any problems. But if I was to try and basically, how would I say, preach the Dhamma to my dad, it would just be no point, So more, it's about me living as an example by my actions, and the kindness and also respect for him. He, just because I'm Buddhist and I think it's like the best in the world doesn't mean my dad is going to feel the same way. So I feel over time, when they see the change in you and see you acting like a different person and much more wholesome and respectful to them, then they take more of an interest. Like, my dad was very shy to stay at the monastery the first time, and he wouldn't, and it took me quite a few times before he'd stay. And then he interacts with people now. And so I think just over time, just seeing you change, that will actually get them interested. I don't think you can push it, and in fact, if you do, I think it has the opposite effect. So, yeah, that's all I have to add.
Thank you. That's great. Yeah. Any other opinions and views about this difficult topic? How to turn your family towards the Dhamma? No? Okay, that's good. I think that's nice. So thank you very much, Venerable. So let's move on to the next one. We have to go a little bit faster. So, dear Ajahn, to have attended this retreat, this is the greatest blessing. To have a clean kuti, thanks to Deborah. To have everything work, thanks to Christina and Nusha. To have a delicious breakfast every morning, thanks to Norlia, Pat and Mia. To have a kind and compassionate treatment, thanks to Leihar. To have not to have worry about food daily, thanks to the Dana supporters. To be surrounded by smiles, kindness, helpfulness, and quiet. Thank you to the dear fellow retreatants. To have a complete fourfold assembly, graced entire retreat. Thank you to the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. And to have the greatest blessing of all. Thank you, Ajahn. Okay. Wow, that's very nice. So this is like an alternative Mahamangala Sutta. That's a nice one. So, yeah, so well done. Great. Okay, dear Ajahn, thank you for all the hard work of teaching this wonderful eye-opening Dhamma. Even though it is profound, you are explaining clearly and in a very simple way. So delighted to learn those from you. Thank you, Ajahn Brahm, for making these facilities to the lay people. Thank you to all the team, including Leha, Norlia, Pat, Maya, Christina, and Anusha, and the gardeners and other volunteers. Thank you for the amazing retreatants. May all of you be happy with metta. So, so this is going to be a very nice evening. So, okay. So now, here we go. Okay, so dear Ajahn, regarding the 6 recollections, how do we recollect the good qualities of the Devas? Thank you, with metta. So how do we recall the good qualities of the Devas? So do we have any teachers who specialize in Deva recollections here? Any suggestions? How to recall the Devas, the Devatas? Yeah.
Okay. Devanusati. So it's not something I do very often. So the question is how to do it?
How to recollect the good qualities of the Devas. Yeah.
How to recollect the good qualities of the Devas. So I think this is very similar to Silanusati. Because the Devas are the Devas because, they made lots of good karma and they made their minds very beautiful. So this is about reflecting on what making good karma does, and that you can do that. You can do that, and that this is possible. It's possible to lift your mind so that at your death you can be in a much more beautiful existence, and possibly even practice the Dhamma. You know, that might be nice, not to have like these, you know, smelly bodies, and just be able to practice the Dhamma with like-minded, beautiful beings. So, you know, you can really play with this one. I haven't come across, I don't know, maybe someone else can say if there's like a standard way of doing it, but you really use your imagination with something like this, because there are all kinds of stories about devas, not just in Buddhist culture. You know, so you could even do a little bit of research and see what's out there. But they're, you know, I know Ajahn Brahms tells some stories about how devas help people on occasion if you're a very, very good person. So they're pro-goodness, so they want to increase that. So that's a good thing. But I think it's something that you can, you know, depending on what your strengths are, if you're a very visual person, or if you have a tendency to have very good, I don't know, body awareness or whatever, you can see how these kinds of different tendencies you may have, you can bring that into play using your imagination or how you feel. So I'm not sure I've done justice to the question, really. I feel like there's probably a lot that could be said, but it's essentially another way of reflecting on karma and goodness. And you can use, see if you can use some visualization, and maybe do some, you could try reading the first part of the Samyutta Nikaya is a lot of verses with devas. You know, that might give you some inspiration as well. So you can go in there and have a look and have a read, and there's lots of things in the suttas actually that reference devas. Whether it's all accurate or not, I don't know, but it's certainly inspiring. And there's devas that are part of the Buddhasasana, that want to protect the Buddhasasana, and that's a very beautiful thing. That, you know, you can really play with it. Anyway, I think I've waffled on enough. Yeah.
Great, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. That's great. Okay, so let us go on to the next one. Dear super duper Ajahn Brahmali. Okay, we good. So I saw they are selling beanies and scarves to raise funds for Dhammadita. What is this project about, and what is the status now? I'm so pleased to be part of this super retreat with super metta. Okay. So so just to give for those of you who are not aware, I think probably many of you are aware of this project by now, but we are trying to help to establish a monastery for nuns in Sri Lanka, and this is what this Dhammadita project is about. And we have a lot of people on the ground in Sri Lanka who are doing this. An organization has been established. It has been approved by the Sri Lankan authorities. So we have an official organization with a bank account and with a committee and with a constitution and all of those things that you need to have a proper organization. And so we have a whole organization there. And the spiritual director for this project is a bhikkhuni called Venerable Sela, who was ordained originally in Melbourne at Newbury Monastery, and she has also been staying at Dhammasara for the Rains Retreat last year, and she's going there again for this year for the Rains Retreat. So she has a very close connection with the BSWA. And we have raised quite a lot of funds. We have raised over $1 million already for that project, And most of those funds are now in Sri Lanka, in the bank account of the Dhammadita project. And they have been looking for a property, and they are now narrowing it down. They're looking at 1 or 2 properties, and they are kind of doing all the due diligence and checking with the local council to make sure they can get building permissions and they can hook it up to electricity and all of these kind of things. And so that is what is happening now. There's quite possible that within the next few months they may have a property, they may have bought a property. And then once the property is bought, then they will start designing the buildings, and then the building work can continue. So it is great that we are still raising funds. It's wonderful, if you are able to support it even a little bit, that's great. At the moment, we're not doing so much, we are not doing a lot of active fundraising because we are just, we have raised a lot of money already, so it's time for them to spend a bit of money first, which is nice. Yeah, it's a nice kind of thing to be able to spend some money. And then once there is greater demand because they're starting building work, we may do a bit more active fundraising again. But still, there's certainly more funding required. So if you're able to support, that is absolutely wonderful. So that's what's going on. And just for your information, we also have like a little committee that oversees that project. And so that is Venerable Karunika, Venerable Hasapanya, and myself. And we are kind of a consultative committee to support Venerable Sela in Sri Lanka. And Ajahn Brahm is kind of the figurehead behind everything. And eventually, if we are able to do this, the idea is to have a really good bhikkhuni monastery in Sri Lanka. It's very hard and difficult for the bhikkhunis to have a good place to practice. It's difficult to find secluded places. It's difficult to find places where they teach the Dhamma properly, the Vinaya properly, and meditation properly. And the idea here is to provide that kind of facility. There will be a connection with the BSWA, and so there will be like maybe a program whereby bhikkhunis from there can come over here and bhikkhunis from Dhammasara can maybe go there if they want to, so they can experience a bit more of Asian Buddhism and they can experience a bit of Dhamma from Dhammasara. So have an exchange program, that's another possibility. At the end of the day, it's up to the bhikkhunis what they want to make of this, but that was kind of the initial ideas when we started this project. So there you are. That's kind of the what we're going on. And it's really, really needed because it is really hard for bhikkhunis to find good facilities. Here in Australia, we have now really good facilities for bhikkhunis, and hopefully we can help that happen also in other places around the world. That's kind of the idea here. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Does anyone like to add anything to that? Everyone good? Okay, let's go on to the next one. Dear Ajahn, help! I think I have ill will towards my meditation. I think it stems from the lack of progress. After 25 years, I live a good life. I feel that my supertanker has slowly even turning. Why is my meditation stuck? Thank you, Ajahn. Sadhu times 3 here. Ooh, okay. So, any teachers would like to respond to this one? Who are you? Who are you? Yeah, please.
I thought you were giving it away. I thought you were trying to get rid of it. If you were Maribel, you probably have more growth. Ajahn, can you please read the question again?
Question is, I think I have ill will towards my meditation. I think it stems from the lack of progress after 25 years. I live a good life and feel that my supertanker has slowed, even turning, so it's not really turning anymore. Why is my meditation stuck? Thank you, Ajahn Vimutti. No, it doesn't. Okay.
Okay, so you've been meditating for 25 years and you feel like you're starting to slow down and change direction, but you have ill will towards your meditation. I kind of feel like I need more information But so I'm not sure I'll be able to give you an accurate answer because I want to ask like a bunch of counter questions. But let's see. So when you're saying you have ill will towards your meditation, does this mean in general or towards the meditation object, or you're just fed up and you don't want to sit anymore? So these are all different problems. Maybe you're trying too hard. Maybe you're wanting too much and have maybe too many expectations. You've been practicing for 25 years, so maybe you feel like, I should be getting somewhere, and you feel like some things have happened, but it's not what you want after 25 years. You feel like you need to see more results, so maybe that's part of the problem. It just really takes the fun away, and the sense of you being this sort of explorer, like Dora the Explorer. Sorry, that was a kids show. You have to have a sense of fun around this. Don't take the joy out of it because you're looking for some kind of progress. Because it's not 25 years, like Ajahn said this morning, is no long time. It could take your lifetimes, okay? So that might seem like a depressing thought, but it also is like a relaxing one. So find some ways of injecting some joy into what you're doing, and maybe look at the bigger picture of the Eightfold Path, and look at the fun that you're having with the other factors, with the other path factors. Are you enjoying listening to really good Dhamma? That's, you're cultivating right view there. Have you got some enjoyment in that? Are you having a bit of fun when you get your speech right? It feels nice. Your sila feels nice. And just focusing on those beautiful things that are happening, that are flowering on the path. And just be patient, Things happen unexpectedly when you don't have a lot of expectations. So I hope that helps.
Great. Okay, thank you, Venerable. That's good. So let us go for the next one. Dear Ajahn Brahmali, this Sutta retreat makes me want to ordain. That's pretty cool, isn't it? That's really, really great. But I fear it is too late and that I have too many ingrained defilements. Does this path of purification really work at any age? And does it work on stubborn habits? It works at any age, but it is often more difficult. The older you are, the more difficult it can be. And because you have to readjust when you become a monastic, you have to kind of adjust to a new kind of life, and you have these kind of baby monastics telling you what to do. They are just like your children or whatever, and they tell you, don't do this, don't that, and that can be a bit difficult to take sometimes. Defilements are ingrained because you haven't really been dealing with them in the right kind of way. That's why why they are ingrained. But they were always ingrained in the first place. It's not as if they have become ingrained in this life. They have been ingrained for eons. This is kind of the point of these defilements. So you just need to rethink how you're doing things. Why am I not getting anywhere with these defilements? Especially a defilement like ill will is really important to overcome. And it is not that hard. If you want to overcome ill will, maybe not entirely, but to a large part, you can do it. By having more compassion, by understanding that people are just suffering, people are reacting to their ingrained habits. Keep on reflecting on that, and I can almost guarantee you that you will overcome this. You start to have more compassion, you become more forgiving as a consequence. So deal with that properly. Often if we are stuck, whether the stuckness is in meditation or the stuckness is in ingrained defilements, we need to make a change. Make a change. Use a different meditation object. Stop meditating for a while. Try something completely different. Go for a walk instead. Come back to meditation in a month's time or something. Do something different. If you keep on just doing the same thing again and again and again, you will not actually make any breakthrough. So Yeah, so anyway, that was I just answered it just off straight away. Maybe I should have asked first if anyone else wanted to answer, but too late. We're going to move on to the next one. Okay. Next one. Dear Ajahn Brahmali, please correct me if I am wrong. This is how I understand from your afternoon talk. The fully enlightened one can get thoughts of lust, etc., but they are not shaken by them, not moved by those thoughts. Please advise. So, anyone would like to answer that question?
I'm not going to keep this all night.
Yeah, of course I can, yeah. Please correct me if I'm wrong. This is how I understand from your afternoon's talk. Fully enlightened ones can get thoughts of lust, etc., but they are not shaken by them, not moved by those thoughts. Please advise. Thank you.
I don't think a fully enlightened being would have thoughts. Yeah, okay. I don't think a fully enlightened being would have thoughts of lust. I can't actually remember what you said in the talk in the afternoon. But maybe that thoughts of lust wouldn't come up even if there was an object that would normally induce lust. Was that what
The fully enlightened ones can have thoughts of lust, but they are not shaken by them, is the question.
Yeah,
No.
I don't think so. I don't think that they would have thoughts of lust. Yeah?
I agree.
Yeah.
I fully agree with you. Yep.
So I'm not sure, maybe you misheard what Ajahn Brahmali said, or I think the sutta was about how even though there are objects like sights and sounds that may induce lust, and someone who's an arahant will not be moved by those things. Yeah?
Yes. Good. Thank you, Venerable. So I fully agree with that, so that's great. Dear Bhante, why is it important for monks to observe all 227 precepts? Conditions have changed so much in the last 2,500 years. Wouldn't it be okay to ignore rules that are no longer relevant? Why should bhikkhus continue to observe these rules? Well, the nuns have even more rules, so maybe the nuns would like to answer.
It's true that some of the rules are not so relevant anymore. And so, for example, there's one that we can't toss a bucket of excrement over the monastery wall. So we have toilets now, so we don't need to be doing that. I think we keep the precepts to the best that we can in a way that's relevant to how we live now. We still try to uphold the Vinaya the best that we can. I remember Ajahn Brahm once saying that Ajahn Chah said we do the best we can with the precepts, because when we ordain and we take on this form, it's like we're kind of like making a promise just to uphold the rules that the best we can. Like there's like an intention of truthfulness there. So we just do the best that we can, but I think there are many adaptations that have been made to fit into the time and place that we live in now. Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Venerable Lotus, would you like to speak on behalf of the monks? Don't want to speak here? Yeah? Don't want to say? Do you keep the Vinaya rules? Is that what? Yeah. You look like it. You look like you keep. As far as I can tell, you do. Okay. Okay. No, you're allowed to refuse. That's okay. So we will only if you feel inspired to say something here. Okay. So next question. This retreat made me realize I still have one strong craving: food. The meals here are so delicious and full of kindness that twice a day I battle with maybe just a little more. And this happens every single day. Honestly, it's the same back home. If I want to eat and drink, I can any time. I actually want to stop drinking alcohol, or at least reduce it a lot. My head understands it very clearly, but sometimes my heart still says, maybe just one glass. I feel like I need a strong anchor inside myself. Thank you. Yes, so would anyone like to advise this person on how to get that strong anchor inside? How to be anchored in the Dhamma, I suppose, is the point. Anyone have a good answer to that one? How to avoid drinking that little glass of alcohol or whatever?
You could try it out for a while. I know I had friends who they have these things called Feb fast or dry July, where you can give up alcohol for a month and you fundraise for some cause. I don't know what the cause is. And I think maybe while you're doing that, you could sort of keep a diary of the benefits that you experience. I think if we want to give something up, we need to see the benefit. Like, we need to see the downside of what we're giving up and the benefit of giving that up. So you could be creative, do things like that. Also, maybe don't put yourself in situations where you will be tempted to drink. Like, if people tend to do these things with certain friends, so maybe avoid those friends. When I was working, I know there's a lot of social pressure in Australia to drink. And so I would just, depending on who I was talking to, I would say things like, I used to drink, but I don't drink anymore. So people would think I was an alcoholic or something. And so they'd just be like, oh, okay, don't. I won't press you to drink then. So there's many creative. I know someone told Ajahn Brahm that they said they don't drink because of doctors' orders and because they see the Buddha as a doctor. Yeah, but I think the main thing is we have to see the benefit of giving something up that would otherwise give us some pleasure and the drawbacks of using that thing.
Great, thank you. Venerable. Any other wise words about giving up alcohol? Maybe, no, we better move on to the next one, otherwise it's going to take too long. So let's, one person for each question here. Please, can you tell us what is the most spiritual place you have encountered? Oh, that is a really nice question. I like that. That's a beautiful question. So again, please, Venerables. Now, this is a good one for you, Venerable Lotus. You've been around a lot. You've been to see a few places. You want to say something about the most spiritual place you've been to?
It's funny, when I close my eyes and ponder this question, the first thought that comes to mind is the most spiritual place I've been to is my own heart. I traveled through Asia for a year, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Nepal mostly. And I meditated in many beautiful forest monasteries, particularly in Sri Lanka, where the jungle and the bush is so alive and so chaotic and archaic almost. There's an energy and a tremendous power to the land, and a softness and a humility to the people, which I still feel connected to. But one thing I learnt, because I was meditating in so many different locations, is that there's really no place like home, you know. So I almost became, after maybe 9 months or so it did take a while, but I almost became bored just by common sights and sounds, even if they were new and appeared exciting or interesting. The sensations that I was experiencing throughout my body, other mental phenomena, it felt closer, more intimate, more personal, more real almost. You know, that is my direct reality, the sights and sounds of the earth, even though they can be uplifting and heart-opening, they're extremely superficial. And so it was really towards the end of that travel that I decided, you know, there's really nothing more for me to do in the world. There's not that much else that interests me. And it was just time to settle down and ordain. I think maybe now is a relevant time for me to answer the question that I was given yesterday as well, or the day prior.
Yeah, sure, please, yeah.
It was something like, can you give us some wise words because you're always smiling? And I wrote an answer. It's not really to that question, but when I looked at my own experience, I thought there's really nothing special in my experience worth sharing. It's pretty much ordinary, just like everyone else's. One special thing that I can share is really what it's like to share a cottage with Ajahn Brahmali. This is something he doesn't expect. So I hope I'm not going to get in trouble later. He makes me a coffee every morning, and I'm not sure I'll be made a coffee tomorrow morning. I've noticed that he's genuinely curious about me, which is kind of a beautiful surprise. He listens to me like a child listens. His mind is full of kind of amazement and wonder by extremely simple things. I personally don't find myself very interesting, so the fact that there's someone else like Ajahn Brahmali that does is beautiful. He's uncomfortably intuitive. I'm not sure how much he knows at any given time. I'm not sure I want to find out. He also enjoys his solitude. When he goes into his room, he's really deeply alone, and I feel beautiful waves of peaceful stillness emanating through the closed door. It really is incredibly still and quiet. I believe he practices the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and coffee. The first few days I was seriously worried for his health. I made the deliberate decision not to count how many cups of coffee he drinks. But I quickly became aware that he doesn't stop. So just before bed, the light goes back on, and the kettle. I'm not sure he sleeps. He reminds me of Sariputta because Sariputta is like the most, he's like the heir to the Dharma, but he also cares for the young, sick and old monks. So he's extremely caring, and he helps out Christina, I know, whenever she needs anything, he just spontaneously offers his help. So he doesn't discriminate between any rank or class of people. And I don't think that this is an action of body, I think that this is an action of mind. He genuinely doesn't discriminate in his mind between any class of people. So consider the Buddha's words of no equality, going beyond any sense of equality, and what that could really mean. And finally, he taught me skillful means in spiritual friendship by example. Spiritual friendship is the hardest thing you can teach. You can only teach it by example. You can only teach it through the skillful means of befriending another. And it's also the most valuable. You know, I've been contemplating a lot recently the meaning of the Buddha's words, spiritual friendship is the whole of the spiritual path. And it's an unfolding contemplation, and it's something I learn mostly through those who have practiced it for their whole life. So thank you for that opportunity.
Okay, wow, that's very... okay, yeah. So that's very nice. So yeah, thank you for those very good words there. Yeah, it's nice to... I was a bit worried there for a second, what are you going to say, to be honest? What's going to come out? You never know, you can always take a different, slant on these things, so... So no, that's great. So thank you for being there, and thank you for kind of coming over and for being a good monastic and for sharing that space. It's always good to have many monastics around. It creates a better retreat. So it's actually very, very helpful. So okay, so we still haven't maybe finished the idea of the most spiritual place you have encountered. Do any of the bhikkhunis like to add to that? Do you have any nice words to say?
For me, one of my favorite things to do is to go to Bodhinyana on Wednesday night to listen to Ajahn Brahm. So for me, I don't know about the rest of Bodhinyana, but the Dhamma hall there for me is like a spiritual home. And I've been at Dhammasara since 2012, and that experience of going and seeing Ajahn Brahm and listening to the talks, I just have this there's a sense of familiarity there of the peachy coloured carpet and the soft lighting, and especially during the rains retreat when we chant the Dhammacakka or the Anattalakkana Sutta with the monks and the nuns. They're like these sense impressions that are very strong in my mind now after all these years. And for me, that space and that memory of that space is like for me, a very spiritual, it brings up a lot of feeling, I guess, in my heart. And it's something that has nourished me, I think, over all these years. Yeah.
So mine's a very short answer, but sort of links into what Ajahn Achala said. The most spiritual place for me is when Ajahn Brahm is in the room, wherever that might be.
Great. That's a lot of very nice answers to that question. So that's wonderful. So, okay, let us go on to the next one. We still have quite a few questions to go through, so we'll just carry on till we get to the end. So, dear Ajahn Brahmali, during meditation, I found that my joy and happiness sometimes decreases. What or how to maintain or keep increasing, or to stay with an abundance of joy? I also found that my meditation is getting better as I can sit longer and enjoy the calm, peace and joy. Much metta for your guidance. So how can you maintain or keep increasing or stay with an abundance of joy? Anyone like to answer that question?
Okay, so how can you increase the joy in your meditation? That's essentially the question, Ajahn?
Yeah, basically increase and maintain it.
Look at the rest of the Eightfold Path, if you want to use that framework, or if you want to use the framework of the gradual training. And put your focus on that. Don't try and do anything within your meditation too much, is what I would say. Because if you're having joy coming up, it's because of certain causes, and so that's what you need to look at. Why do I have this joy at all? Where's that coming from? And see and play around. Don't just think, oh, it's because of this X, Y, and Z reasons. It might not be, or it might be, but there might be more to it because things always change. So it's always really good to have this broad perspective of all the path factors and see what's going on. And as you continue to practice, you might get good at tweaking things a little bit here and there, trying to maybe start in different ways or do things a little differently here and there. But I can't really tell you that. That's something that you have to figure out. And the more you understand what the path is and the more you expose yourself to good Dhamma, the more you'll be able to figure that out for yourself. So good luck.
Okay, I think maybe it's good to we state for one person for each question. I think it's probably a good idea because we still have quite a few. So let's see what happens. Dear Ajahn, I have heard Ajahn Brahm say that if someone became a stream enterer in a past life, he still has to experience it again in this lifetime to move forward. Last night you said that if someone is a stream enterer, even if he didn't do anything, he'll still move forward on the path automatically. How would it be possible when one becomes conditioned through family, upbringing, culture, various life experience, etc.? Doesn't he have to overcome that conditioning through meditation practice? The point is, maybe, shall I answer that question or someone else like to answer it? Yeah, my turn? Okay, I'll answer this question then. So because I said it specifically, probably a good idea. So the idea here is that when you become a stream enterer, you have right view. Yeah, so you're seeing the world in the right way. And so even though you are conditioned by your family and culture and all of these various things, the right view is already there at the back of your mind. Yeah, you know things in the right way. And so you carry that with you deep within somehow. And so you will tend to be a very virtuous person, a very kind person. And you may even kind of spontaneously go into deep states of samadhi, maybe a bit like the Buddha to be under the famous rose apple tree when he was a child. Yeah, something like that. Because you have that incredible purity already inside, because you are a stream enterer. And so I think sometimes you may spontaneously have a deep state of samadhi, which may give rise to insight, or may make you becoming a nun or a monk or whatever as a consequence. And so the progress on the Eightfold Path is in a sense natural, because right view is the foundation for the practice. Yeah? Right view is the first factor of the Noble Eightfold Path, and so the other factors tend to follow as a consequence. And Ajahn Brahm says you need to re-experience it. Maybe, I'm not sure what the answer is to that question. He could be right. But I think regardless of whether you do, you would still practice the path because the view is kind of embedded in you somehow. That's kind of how I understand that. Okay, next question. Dear Venerable Lotus, another teacher, Venerable Lotus, another question. So who is the teacher who ordained you? Are you staying in a monastery? Where is it situated? How old are you? They want the whole biography. How long have you been a monk? It's inspiring to see you. Please come and stay at Bodhinyana Monastery for the rains, and please experience an Ajahn Brahm and Ajahn Brahmali's teachings as well. I'll give you the question because there's so many, so you can have a look at them all.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to be living in Adelaide if anyone lives there. I ordained in Pa-Auk. It's a Sri Lankan vihara in Adelaide. How old are you? I'm 24. I should just talk from my experience. I'm 24 years old. I was born in Sydney. My name is Lotus. My English name is Lotus. I wasn't born with that name. I changed it when I was about 19 because I decided that basically I felt like I was a different person from who I was when I was born. I decided to be a monk when I was 18, but it took a while to get my family permission and also to get prepared enough for that transition. It was quite a gradual process, and I wanted it to be lifelong. So I needed to prepare through and through, as they say. I ordained in Pa Auk, which is a meditation branch tradition that comes from Burma, Myanmar. I came to Australia after getting quite a serious bacterial infection, which I'm still trying to recover from. It's inspiring to see you. Thank you. Sometimes I think it's useful for me to say that if there is any inspiration that you feel, please use it to motivate you on your own practice, because I feel that my youth is not incredible in and of itself, but it is a sign that everything you do in this lifetime carries forth. Nothing on the spiritual path is lost. And the question about old age can just be reconciled if you realize this in your own experience. Is there ever a moment when you're not aware? Absolutely nothing's lost.
Okay, great. So thank you, Venerable. So we will move on to the next one. Dear Ajahn, I regret not practicing or knowing what I know now when I was young, fit and able. Why didn't I come to the Dharma sooner? I could be enlightened by now and wouldn't have and wouldn't have made such a tremendous mess of things, which is now preventing me from giving my whole life to the practice. How to work with regret and remorse. Much metta. Okay, Venerables, any wise teachings, please?
Better late than never, I guess. So it's always about how we frame things rather than see all the time you've lost. At least you've found the Dhamma now. And we can just go forward from here. And what Venerable Lotus said is very beautiful. Whatever time we spend cultivating the Eightfold Path, that's not lost. So maybe next life you will come to the Dhamma very early on in your life. There's a sutta where the Buddha says that he asks the monks if there's a blind turtle in the ocean and the blind turtle comes to the surface once every 100 years, what are the chances that it puts its head through a yoke in the ocean? And the monks say that it's very rare. And so that's how rare it is that we've all had a human birth, and not just a human birth, but at a time when we have the Dhamma, when the Dhamma is available to us, good Dhamma from Ajahn Brahmali. And we all have enough wisdom to recognize that this is something worth listening to. So when we reflect in this way, it doesn't really matter what age that we come to the Dhamma, we can just see it as something very precious and do what we can.
Great, thank you. Maybe I just like to add a couple of words maybe, that sometimes the time has to be right to come to the Dhamma. Yeah, sometimes we have to make lots of mistakes. Sometimes we have to learn from these kind of things before we are ready to actually approach the Dhamma. So maybe without those mistakes you wouldn't even be here. Yeah, maybe that's part of the deal in a sense. So don't see it as a mistake, see it as a maturing process. See it as something that you had to go through. Now you're here, so something must have gone right. And as long as you recognize those mistakes, you can make incredible progress. Remember that some of the great bandits of the old time of the Buddha, like Angulimala, who apparently killed 1,000 people, or 100, some people are different numbers, but whatever it is, at least he killed people. He became an arahant. Yeah, so whatever you have done, probably haven't killed that many people, have you? Yeah, maybe you only killed 999. Yeah, so you are in good. So for you, no problem. Yeah, you can still do it. So the point really is that you learn to understand this was your conditioning. Yeah, this is what you had to do. You didn't have any choice in the matter. And once you get that, you can forgive yourself. In fact, you can even have compassion for yourself because you can understand that you were trapped by those habits, trapped by those conditioning, and you didn't really have much choice. And then when you can forgive yourself, you can move forward, you can start diluting that bad karma by practicing really, really well now. The deeper you go now, even let's say that you can practice some deep Brahma Viharas or whatever, you can annul all that bad karma completely through practicing the Brahma Viharas, at least for your next rebirth. And based on those Brahma Viharas, you can achieve that same awakening. So this is the process. So it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. If you are committed, if you persevere in the practice, you can overcome all of that. Okay. So it's going to be a little bit late today. It's already 9:05, but shouldn't be too much longer. So, dear Ajahn, may I ask one personal question? Okay, do you actually enjoy the Q&A session? Please say yes. Otherwise, I may need to reduce my question frequency to once every 2 days. I try to have the attitude that whatever I do, I try to enjoy it. Otherwise, it becomes really crazy. So the answer is yes. I once read in an Ajahn Brahmali book that practitioners should discover some answers through practice themselves, rather than relying too much on Q&A. Yeah, and there is a lot of truth to that. If you discover something yourself, it becomes a far more profound insight. Yeah, it is your discovery, you understand, you kind of turns on the light. So that is, there's a lot of truth to that. It's not always true, otherwise the Buddha wouldn't be necessary, but certainly there's some truth to that. But honestly, I feel the flower of the Sutta retreat is the Q&A session. I learned so much from your teaching and from the sincere and interesting question asked by others. Thank you very much for your patience and generosity in answering as well, and please make some merit that we can all get tickets for the next Sutta retreat too. Okay, so so you're going to have to look after that merit yourself, but so we'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you for that question. Okay, hello Ajahn Brahmali. Is there a Pali word, a name for protected by the devas or loved by the devas or something similar? So protected by the devas would be Deva Rakita. Yeah, Deva Rakita is protected by the devas. Loved by the devas would be Deva Piya, Deva Manapa, Deva, something like that. Yeah, would be Deva Nampriya is the ancient word name for Ashoka. It was called Deva Nampriya, beloved of the gods. That's the Sanskrit version of it. So Deva Piya would be the Pali translation, Pali version of that. So something like that. Deva Rakita, Deva Piya, Deva Manapa, Deva Pema. Deva, there's many words for love and for these sort of emotions. Thank you for educating us about the devas, lots of metta. So I hope you got that. Yeah, if you want the spelling, come and see me later on. I'll give you the spelling of those words. Okay. Dear Ajahn Brahmali, I need to make a confession. At the very beginning, I was so afraid and concerned whether to register for the Sutta retreat or not, simply because my Sutta understanding is still very primary level. I enjoy reading and listening to your podcast or recordings, and it took quite a few times till I really understood them. But after attending this retreat, I have so much joy, calm, and understanding. Yay! Well, that's wonderful. Many, many thanks for your wonderful teaching. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Great, I'm so happy to hear that. I know people are sometimes afraid of the suttas because they think they are so profound. It's only for the most advanced practitioners and you will not be able to understand. But the suttas are for everyone. The suttas are the Buddha's teachings to all kinds of people in ancient India, to the very simple people, to the educated people, to people who, from all walks of life, were given these sutta teachings. So please don't be intimidated by them. Sometimes you may hear teachings that are a little bit profound, like dependent origination or whatever, and you may be puzzled by those. But that's okay. So we have some simple teaching you understand. You have some more advanced teaching that take you further. They encourage you to go a bit deeper into the Dhamma. So this is kind of the idea with these retreats. A bit of simple teachings, a bit of profound teachings, but hopefully most of it reasonably understandable. So thank you for that very nice comment. Dear Ajahn Brahmali, I will sometimes see rings of light moving around my eyes during meditation. Am I supposed to try to make them brighter or bigger? I was once told to focus on them, but I'm not sure what exactly that means. So, Venerables, anyone with experience with rings of light moving around the eyes? Any good suggestions for that? Are you supposed to try to make them brighter or bigger? Focus on them, or what?
I think don't try to do anything, basically. Just leave it alone, enjoy it. It may come and go. It might get brighter. Don't worry too much about it, basically, would be my answer.
Good, excellent. That's great, Sadhu. I tend to agree. Remember that for me, the big best sign that you are going well is actually the feeling and not what you're seeing. Because what you're seeing is very uncertain. What matters is how you feel. Do you feel joy? Do you feel peaceful? That is how you ideally should decide whether your meditation is going well or not. So if you're going well, then if you see lights, okay. If you don't see lights, also okay. Either way, doesn't matter so much. As long as the feeling is right. If it is a ring of light, it's a bit hard to focus on. It's better to focus on a disk of light rather than a ring of light. And those are usually the things that lead to deep samadhi. So see if you can get that disk of light instead, maybe. Okay, so, that was the last question. There was some paper in the bottom that was empty. These are the empty questions. Sunyata questions, the best ones. So that is all for this evening. So once again, please carry on enjoying yourself. We still have a little bit of few hours left of this retreat. Have a good night's rest. And thank you to my fellow monastics for answering these questions tonight. It's nice to hear a little bit of different viewpoints because there are so many ways of thinking about the Dhamma. So let's finish off as usual, paying respect to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha.
Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami